Hey guys, Krista from Carolot Farm. We have just had the first really cold night in what's going to be a string of them. I can see though my trough heater did the job, nothing froze, which is fantastic. And I've already put some warm water inside the run-in for these three. And while I was up here, I gave them a good flake of hay. So they really want grain, but it's a little early. I'll be back with grain later. But so far, everyone up front here is looking really good. You can just hear how frozen everything is as I walk along. Something really sad just happened. I'm going to show you. I went to put my glove on and I couldn't find it because it had fallen into my bucket of warm water. That's really not good. I checked the thermometer. It said it was 2. So it's really cold out here. I will have to get hay really super quick because I only have one glove apparently. On these super cold days, the first thing I want to do as soon as I get up is come out and check on the water and give everyone hay. I know they have shelter. I can rely upon that. However, they rely upon me for their food, their hay, and their water. So I'm out here checking on that, making sure everyone's in good shape. And then I get to go in and warm up and drink my coffee, and I'll be back out with their grain maybe in an hour and a half. But first things first, these girls need their hay. You can see the sun is just beginning to pop up there in the background. I'm gonna head inside now though, because my hand that does not have a glove is especially cold. And I'll check that thermometer. I'm curious to see if it dropped any more, if we're gonna start rebounding. But again, I saw 2. Well, it's that time. It's time to officially feed the horses breakfast. You can see the sun is much higher. It's warmer. It's like 20 degrees. But I'm going to start by feeding Lady and the boys. They were really disappointed this morning when I came out and I only gave them a little bit of hay and warm water. So I'm going to give them feed first and then go feed Snuggles and Sweetheart, who are in the back by the brown barn. But it's cold. I've dropped feed for Lady. I've got feed for the boys. Let's see if they'll figure this out. Come on, boys. Come on. I'm hoping they'll both come out so I can feed them over here together. If not, come on. Let's see if they figure this out. Shenanigans is figuring it out, and I think Rocky is just establishing his new feeding area, which is right there in the barnyard. Rocky has decided to come out and join Shenanigans today. So they're both eating here on the fence line, which is my hope, while feeding in the snow. The warm water I brought out just a few hours ago has already frozen over, so I need to bust this and then bring more warm soon. Because their red tub, though, is not frozen, the de-icer has been able to keep up with this cold weather, which is fantastic. I wasn't sure how they'd do. I'm going to feed the other horses in the back first and then come back around with warm water in just a bit. One nice thing about all of this frozen ground everywhere is my feet are not getting muddy, which means I can take a shortcut through the house to get grain, so that's nice. Even though I worked to chop up my footsteps yesterday, they're still a bit slippery, so I need to slow down and just remind myself the last thing anyone needs is a fall. These girls are ready. We are still working on establishing our new winter snowy routine here with these girls. I have put Snuggles' bucket here in the feedlot, so this is working well. Snuggles is eating in her feedlot, and Sweetheart is in the stall. The noise you hear in the background is our neighbor. He's working to scrape and plow our super icy driveway. But I want to show you, Sweetheart, she's doing well in the stall, but she did unfortunately knock over her feed tub. So once again, her food is on the ground. I might try hanging her feed tub this evening from one of these hooks that we have. They are, however, a bit high because they were for full-size horses. But I think if I suspend a flat back bucket with a string, I think it could be just the right height. Because Sweetheart here does have asthma and a compromised airway, it's not ideal that she's eating off of the dirty, dusty floor of the stall. I do need to work this out. I'm pretty sure though, like I was telling you, hanging a bucket from that hook, I think that will work as long as she doesn't knock that and swing it and spill it. I think pawing is really her big issue though. I don't think she's a bucket tosser, just a pawer. I am happy to report though that all of our preparations we took yesterday by scraping off the black mats and covering that little bit of moisture with hay has definitely helped them from getting slick. So that was a great thing to see this morning. Another area where we did a little pre-prep yesterday was right here by my back gate, and just, let me show you, in front of the hay barn here. This area is definitely one that gets a bit slick, and so like the front, we went ahead and covered everything with some hay for traction. The hay that I use for traction, keep in mind, is not tasty, tender, new hay. I like to use old hay, whether it's like an old round bale that we're pulling off of, or in this case, these are the old squares that were a bit compromised from last summer. I have set them aside, and I'm just using them to cover these slick spots. I am also happy to see that the ground where the girls have been walking and kind of roughing up is not too slick. However, as you head down the hill into the ring, it might as well be an ice skating rink. While these girls work on finishing up their breakfast, I have chained open my feedlot gate here so that Snuggles will not get closed in there inadvertently. By putting the chain here, it just keeps the gate from being blown closed should the wind kick up. I'm gonna head to the house now. There's no need for me to stand around while these girls finish eating. They've got water in their tubs that's not frozen. They've got hay, and right now they're finishing up that little bit of breakfast. So I'm gonna say farewell for now, and I'll come back in a bit. So we've just brought warm water out here. It's in the gray bucket. It's a little warmer than the horses would like to drink just yet. It will soon cool. I did add a little cold water, but that purple bucket I'm gonna remove, take it to the house, and work to get all of that ice melted out of it. Shenanigans here is the first to get into the warm water. After a little drink, he decided to give it his lips up approval. These guys really do like their warm water. I've been able to feed Lady in here and the boys outside like I showed you, and I'm just leaving the gate open even though they come inside under the run-in. Lady is really good about telling them to kind of back off so that she can finish her breakfast fair and square. No one's going to run her off, which is important because she does need more food than they do. Being older, she just needs a bit more. So I'm so glad that these little boys are figuring it out, and she is just kind of telling them, no, 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 back up, give me space. So I'm glad to see that we're able to do this. It makes feeding a lot easier, but they do want to clean up whatever crumbs she's left behind. All three of these minis really, really appreciate and enjoy the warm water. Here we have those boys just looking for any little morsels that Lady maybe dropped and didn't clean up herself. They're good little vacuum cleaners. Although it's really cold, it's a little breezy, they will venture out here into the sun. It does feel significantly warmer. Just having this little sun on my back feels better than being in the shade. So I'm glad that they have both options. We have this little tarp here on the side of our run-in to act as a windbreak so they don't get bombarded by the wind. You can see that red flag, it is breezy. But the sun is what feels really, really good right now. And look, I have two gloves. I had a glove mishap this morning. So not only do I have both of my gloves in hand right now, I have an extra pair in my pocket. This morning I didn't. Usually I do have extra gloves, but I have a different jacket on this morning with more of a shell on it. And I just didn't have that extra pair of gloves, which I really needed. So let that be a little note there. Always have extra gloves in your pocket along with tissues. On a day that is so cold like today, tissues and extra gloves are a must. The boys are showing you here why it's really important to make sure that your boards are attached on the inside of your posts so that when they do graze through them, reach through them, perhaps push on them, they are a lot less likely to pop your boards off. With minis, I'm finding that if this becomes like a permanent barnyard area, or if we create any sort of alleyway, aisleway inside our barn in the future, if it's not a solid wall, I will want to probably have 4, if not 5 boards though, so that the horses are not able to put their heads through. You're just causing stress on the boards. And again, it's just more likely that they could actually get out somehow if a board were to break. So again, this is not ideal, but it's what we have right now. And because I know these oak boards are new, they're super strong, they're really thick, I'm not really worried about it. But again, it's not ideal to have your horses grazing or leaning through or reaching through your boards like that. In weather like this, you want to be really careful where you dump any sort of liquid. So in my case, I'm going to dump out this purple bucket of water that the horses didn't drink. It's gotten a little dirty, it was a little icy, and now that they have new warm water, I'm going to dump this. But I want to be really careful not to dump it anywhere near a pathway or an entryway gate, because the refreeze is a real deal that we have to be extra special careful of. The lady is showing us how nice it is to stand in that warm sunshine. Her belly is full, she had a drink of water, and she's now taking a little nap, standing up. She's not laying down, but you can see that back leg is cocked, her eyes are closed. She is very happy right now. When it's super cold like this, I can only do things in short stretches. So now that everyone has water, they've been fed, they've got their hay, I'm gonna head back inside, and then I'll come back later on today, do some picking and tidying up. And again, just breaking things up into small chunks is the way to go. I'm back out here now for the third time today. I need to pick the stalls and the paddocks a little. But first, I have to chisel out all of this frozen sleet that I unfortunately did not dump out of my wheelbarrow yesterday. So I've got my handy dandy wood board here. It's what I seem to use the most to chop things around the farm. I've got a lot of work ahead of me before you even start picking. Word to the wise, next time be sure to dump your wheelbarrow before it freezes solid. I don't know if you can tell in this video or not, but it's just warm enough today. It's about 30-31 degrees, and with the warm sunshine, the very top of everything is getting a little teeny melt, and then it's immediately freezing over. And so even our paths that had been roughed up that were giving us traction earlier are now becoming slick because every teeny little, nook and cranny is getting an extra icing over. So I have to be extra special careful as I move about the farm. I think I'm going to take the metal shovel and go back and re-chop my paths, because the situation is not going to improve anytime soon. I keep saying that, I know, but this freeze and, melt and refreeze is just going to continue for the next few days. So let me get at it. I do have to pick, and then I have to work on my paths. The ring might as well be a skating rink. It's smooth, it's glistening, and it's frozen. And for reasons just like that, I have decided to close off access to the ring. The horses do not need to be out there moving about. I hate that their barnyard even is so slick, but there's nothing more I can do. Limiting their space, though, hopefully to a smaller area will, I don't know, maybe help them to move about in a slower fashion and chop up the snow and ice that's here more so. I don't know, guys, but my gut instinct is saying they don't need to be out here on this super slick ring. Here's Snuggle. She's demonstrating. She did navigate coming down the hill just fine. She broke through the frozen stuff one or two steps here or there. She might go to the bathroom down here. That could have been her pile from earlier. But you do hear these two girls, Snuggles and Sweetheart. They were just talking to their buddies who were up in the front winter turnout. Just a little nicker, little whinny here and there. No one's concerned, but they do still talk back and forth. Time to get a good roll in the stall of the shavings. Nobody wants to roll out here in the frozen stuff. She's gonna get herself really good and coated here. She's scratching her back. She's a happy girl. As I work to pick here in the barnyard, just in front of the stalls, the only area that's not covered in ice, I have decided that I am going to take all of this hay that I spread on the mats, and I am going to rake it closer to the barn here. You can see just behind Snuggles there, so that it kind of stays out of the wetness. With this active drip that we currently have coming off the roof, I'm going to have standing water back there on my black mats. So when I come to feed dinner, like last night, I will sweep it off, I will shovel it off, and then I will re-spread the hay for traction. I am happy to report that the horses clearly are not very hungry. What we're feeding them is more than enough. I put this hay out several hours ago, and I've been watching the girls. They come out, they nibble a little, and then they go back to resting. So if they were really, really ravenous, they would have scarfed all of this up. I'm glad to see they're not. Ideally, I would not have a manure pile quite so close to my entry point here, but given the circumstances of the footing and such, that is where my makeshift pile will be. Well, I just chopped the pathway from the front of the house all the way here to the front run-in where the horses are turned out, Lady and the boys, that is. I used my shovel here. It was not easy work, I'm not gonna lie. I got so hot that I had to take my jacket off. And I still have picking to do. But so far, so good. We're making great progress around the farm. This is day 3 of Fern, the winter storm. Right now it's a little melting action we're having, which is good, but again, there's that blessing and a curse there. Whatever melts will refreeze. So now I'm going to get to picking, and then my very last thing to do this afternoon is to chop the path that goes from the back of the house down to that barn. I have kicked my 4-legged helpers out of the run-in while I pick. Shenanigans is insisting that he really would like to come back in and help though. But it's good for them to be out there. The warmth of the sun is helping to soften some of that frozen precip, and the more they move around, ultimately the sooner we'll have more significant melting action, and they'll also have more traction. So it's good for them to be out there for multiple reasons, but right now it especially helps me as I pick. I want to show you all of that shoveling work that we did yesterday has really helped, because I now have a nice clear path all the way from my run-in gate to that manure pile. Very helpful. Walking on this path that is not frozen or snow covered is glorious. I'll have to let my daughter know to bring her dog Zeppelin here. They're here kind of riding out the storm with us, but this little patch of ground is really nice. We have quite the ice sheet and icicles that are forming and slipping off the back side of our roof. It's a good thing though that this will not impact the horses. It would only fall on me as I'm walking to and from and around the barn. You may have noticed that Lady is not wearing her blanket, and that is because I want her body to continue to produce this really nice, thick, warm coat. If I keep a blanket on her, her winter coat will get thinner and she will not be naturally as warm. So the blanket is just to use in real inclement weather when it's actively snowing, or if there's sleet or freezing rain falling. But on a day like today when it's just cold, she really doesn't need it because her body is doing just what it needs to keep her nice and warm. Thank you so much for joining me today as I continue to work to kind of dig out post-winter storm fern. You know, it's been really cold. It's only going to get colder. And looking at the weather forecast, not only do the next 5 to 7 nights look like they're going to be in single digits, but there's a chance that we could get more snow. They're saying 10 to 12 inches this coming weekend. So within the next 7 to 10 days, things are not going to improve, guys. Wish us luck. But so far, everyone's doing great. We've got plenty of everything that the horses need, and we just have to stay active ourselves, giving them the best care possible. So stay warm, stay dry, stay safe. Check back soon. We'll for sure have updates. And fingers crossed we don't get any more snow. That's not what we need. Bye, guys.